Hey, nerds! It's Geeks of Cascadia. Geeks of Cascadia. Geeks of Cascadia. Exclusive tabletop game podcast for the Pacific Northwest. All levels of gamers. Analog gaming. Tabletop news. Dungeons and Dragons and magic. Stupid, mindless banter.
There will definitely be some. That's probably our best. That's our best feature.
You are listening to the Geeks of Cascadia podcast, featuring Steve Hobbs, Paul Anderson, and Joe Costa.
Hey, geeks! Welcome to episode 34 of Geeks of Cascadia. I'm your host, Blue Samurai, and I am with...
The Costasaurus chilling over here, and last but not least,
I'm still Paul.
All right, we are your podcast into tabletop games, just basically tabletop games. Anything that has to do with tabletop games, designers, game reviews. We've talked to artists.
We're just big geeks, so geekdom in general sometimes.
We are con news. Yes, conventions. In fact, why don't we just go right into that? What do we got for convention news?
Let's do that. Well, we got a little one coming up here August 24th, 25th, and 26th.
Ooh.
That is called Dragonflight.
Yeah!
That's in Bellevue at the Hilton.
I will be there.
I will be
Your
there.
Your crew will be
yes,
there.
We will be there.
This banner will be there.
Yes, come see us at Community Row.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be so awesome.
He won't be there on Friday.
For one day.
For one day, it will not be there.
It's his birthday.
Yes, it's my birthday.
Yay!
Yeah.
But if you see him the next day, you can say, "Happy belated birthday, Paul."
Mm-hmm.
Just Paul.
Did you get your double ARP card yet?
Oh!
Yay!
Yes, I
Joe.
did.
Zingo.
Maybe you get 15% off dice.
Maybe, but I'm going
That'd
to
be
check and
cool.
see if there's
Dude.
any Dragonflight ARP coupons.
That's something to
There
look forward
you
to.
go.
You can use that at a game store.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I need this
What
game because I'm old.
other cons do we got?
Well, shortly thereafter, we've got the little thing called PAX West.
Never heard of it.
And that is August 31st through September 3rd in
Cool.
Seattle, Washington.
And I know that OrcaCon's going to have a table there in Community Row.
Yeah.
Yes,
And-
and the Diversity Lounge.
Yep. So I'll be there Saturday, and
I might be there Friday and or Saturday.
And I
Call
will
back
be in and out actually each day. Hopefully finding an interview. Hopefully you guys will do on-the-spot interviews. That'd be
Sure.
really great for content.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. They better do it. Anyway,
we
go ahead.
might just talk to each other
That's
about
fine.
Marvel
that's
stuff.
fun.
That's cool. That's cool. All right.
Also, got lots of fun stuff coming up real soon. Rose City Comic Con in the Rose City, which is also known as Portland,
Okay.
Oregon.
I heard it's the sister con of Emerald City Comic Con.
Is it?
That's
Okay,
right.
I did not know that. We've got GateCon, which is a Stargate convention in Victoria, BC,
I wish I
on
was doing
September
that.
14th through 16th.
Mm.
And RenCon in Renton, Washington, September 15th through 16th. I'd like to tell you more about that, but there's nothing on the website, Renton.
RenCon, all they do
We're
is
calling you out.
it's a
That's right.
convention just about Renton. So you go and it's just like a bunch of historical stuff. Renton was originally established in 1911, and that's it.
And they
Sounds
talk-
exciting.
Maybe they talk about the history of big hair in the 80s.
Maybe.
You never know.
They might.
All right.
And also, we got BrickCon coming up October 6th and 7th in Seattle.
Wait, BrickCon?
BrickCon?
Like bricks?
I think it's a Lego convention.
That
would make sense.
That would check
That
out.
would make
Yeah.
sense. That would make total sense.
That sounds awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anyone ever grows out of Legos.
No, I wish I would have kept mine.
And if you think that, then definitely that proves that point. Yeah,
Yeah.
you never really grow out of it. Like every now and then for like Christmas, like my mother-in-law or my mom or somebody will be like, "Oh, one of the little like $10 sets."
Yeah.
First thing I do, I'm like, "Dude,
Oh,
let's
man.
work on that." Or if I have like, I can't wait for my niece. She's 3 now, but to get older and maybe she gets Legos. I'm like, "Hey, you need some help building that?" Like, cause that was the thing.
Yeah.
Me being the oldest is my brothers didn't want to build it, but they wanted to play
Yeah,
with it. I was like,
yeah.
"I'll help you out. I'll build it for you, and then you can play with it."
I had this little just 12-inch square moon base thing with a little moon base car.
Oh,
And
dude,
little
that's
astronauts.
sweet.
Loved it.
That is really awesome.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. All right, awesome. Any other cons? Even though that's a lot.
That's well, there's more cons, but we can talk about them on the next podcast.
Okay, but we
Yes.
do have to plug up. Plug up?
Plug
No,
it.
that's big stuff.
Get the plunger.
We keep our personal lives outside of this
That's right.
podcast.
We do have to plug OrcaCon. Any news on that one?
OrcaCon's coming up.
There
It's
you go.
January 10th. At the Bellevue Hilton.
Oh
Yep.
no.
Also-
do we not know?
Also, it's important to
Scroll
know that
down.
with
Keep talking.
it's
All right.
also
I'm gonna-
important to know that with OrcaCon, it's actually 11th, 12th, and 13th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
We knew that.
That's
What's
right, I'll
imp-
be there on the 10th because
Yeah.
I have work to do.
I,
will you
I will be
guys.
there
Yes.
all the days. Yes, we'll all pretty much be there all day, every day. I'm actually staying the night there this time. I can.
Oh, good for
can-
you.
We can afford it, so that's really cool.
I have an executive suite. Do you? Do you guys have executive suites?
We might. Donna's checking into
I
that
think
for me.
only
All right.
board
You know
members
what?
get that.
Well, I got that earlier.
I'm sorry. I can't get that. No. Hopefully she'll check into it.
I was only 10 months in advance, so I missed out.
Oh.
I tried to a few months ago, and
There's a chance they might let you upgrade if you get a regular hotel room if they have some available for the OrcaCon price.
noise.
Yeah, that's what they told me when I signed up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty excited either way, because getting to stay there, we're gonna have our brewed beers and have some ciders out there, and that's gonna be awesome. I had to get there. It's like what was it? It was like 12 to 15-hour days, and it was enjoyable. Don't get me wrong, but it was like
It's
you know,
exhausting.
I was going out to do the orientation at like I forgot if it was like 7 or 8 in the morning. So I'm getting out there early, and then I stay till close or whatever. But this time getting to stay there, that means I also get to just stay up till 3 in the morning playing games, sleep for 2 hours, do it again.
I commuted to the first OrcaCon, and I lived 5 minutes from the hotel, and I was exhausted.
Yeah. I was only like 20 minutes away, and I was just
Yeah,
like, oh my
yeah.
gosh. But it's good. It's worth it. I've met some amazing people. There's so many awesome people I've met on Twitter. Especially amazing. There's a lot of amazing women in the field, in the gaming field, that I've learned so much from, and that are just freaking amazing. I had to give them a shout out the other day, but I feel like every OrcaCon, I've met someone else that is a really good example of just being an awesome leader in the gaming. So that's always been really great. So we also, to give a little update, I was assuming you were done with the cons there.
Yes, I'm done with the cons.
Noise.
Cons! I was over.
One last thing with OrcaCon. We are growing exponentially. We've been growing a lot every year. So last year we hit about 1,250, right? And we're expected to continue to grow. Our numbers are looking like we're going to be, again, have another 25% increase. Our space is limited, even though we are literally using every bit of space that they have at that hotel. So if you're interested in going, I would get your tickets, because the reality is there is a chance that we're going to have to cut it off after a certain amount, because we can't just have a bunch of massive people in there, because then there's no room to move or accessibility.
Yeah.
So I would hop on that if you really are serious about getting to the con. I'd get on it.
We are very serious about accessibility.
Yeah.
We're not going to cram you in there like sardines.
No, so we're gonna cut off. We're gonna have to put a cap on attendance if we hit that, and we're moving towards possibly having to do that this year, but we'll see. Anything else you want to share?
No, I'm just very excited for Dragonflight and OrcaCon.
Yes.
Yes.
And PAX.
Yes.
I've never been to PAX. It's going to be great.
PAX. So PAX is great. This sounds really horrible. I would never pay for a badge to go to PAX, because I wouldn't want to stand in line for 2 hours to play a video game.
No.
To me, it's not worth it. It's a really cool show, but I don't mind working the OrcaCon booth, because then they're like, oh, go enjoy the con. I walk around for an hour, I'm good.
I mean, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because I'm not going to wait in line for things. And honestly, that whole hour is used for the tabletop stuff that's been growing anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, so an update on that Kickstarter campaign we talked about called Overturn Rising Sands. That was the one that had all type of heavy plagiarism from Simon.
Yeah. That's right. You heavily recommended that too.
I did not. Well, it had only, I think, a day or two, a couple days of left to the campaign. Massive people dropped out, and it did officially get, it's called suspended, but pretty much they got shut down.
I've been suspended at work before.
Have you?
Then later I got fired.
I did not.
Oh,
know
wow.
that. Which work was this?
That was when I worked at the record store and when I worked at the bank.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Did your parole officer help you get the next job?
Then I got a good job making license plates.
Okay.
Oh, awesome. You look
That's
great in
cool.
orange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
All right.
Someone's got to do it.
So, someone makes our license plates. Anyway, so that got taken care of. And as many of you Kickstarter backers know, no funds are taken from the backers unless the campaign is successful. So with that being said, no one lost any
That's
money,
good.
even the people that blindly had their trust in the company that did not back out. Send all your hate mail to S.Hobbs at... No, I'm just
Whoa,
kidding.
what?
Geeks of Cascadia.
All the people that are like, I didn't blindly back that. Yeah, if you didn't back out after that, yeah, that was not smart on your part. So yeah, there's that. A lot of Kickstarters have ended that were really amazing or will end very shortly, probably before we put this out. But there's some cool stuff that's supposed to be heading out relatively soon. There's going to be... Sorry, I got distracted. There's always going to be like Cool Mini or not putting out stuff. Like there was just that big Zubicide thing that went out, and it depends when this goes out. But I do know that there is a lot of people loved the game called Bargain Quest. Well, they're doing a second printing, and that's still good for another 2 weeks as of today, which is August 13th. And so that is looking like it's going really well. Again, I know there's a lot of people that loved it. Their goal is 30,000. They are at, as of this recording, 189,000. So a second printing and a black market expansion. And again, there's a lot of people that are interested in that. This has nothing to do with gaming, but I think it's just freaking awesome. There was, to give a little backstory here, there were these 3 sisters, and they loved playing Rock Band. I don't know if you heard about this group. They loved playing Rock Band since they were like little kids. They got videos of it, right? And their parents were like, I wonder if they would like instruments. So the parents got them like a drum set, all this stuff. And they just started playing a bunch of music, and that's all they ever wanted to do. And, well, they formed a band and released an album not too long ago, a couple years ago. They're called The Warnings.
Okay.
They're all pretty, well, they're technically teenagers. It's like the singer and guitarist is 18, I think, or 19, and the rest are all in high school age. They're freaking amazing.
Okay.
They've played shows with like The Killers, with I believe, there were some metal bands they played a lot with as well. Anyways, so they have a Kickstarter going on to fund their second studio album.
Okay.
Now, I can't necessarily speak to the drumming because I'm horrible at drums, but I enjoy playing guitar. Man, that guitarist and singer, she like prodigy, like amazing,
Awesome.
like nailing like Van Halen, like eruption heavy solid solos, just amazing. So that is something I wanted to plug out there because it looks amazing. It's these 3 sisters. They're doing just these tours out there. So they wrote their own stuff, really, really good heavy rock stuff. Their goal was $21,454. They're at $63,000.
Is this a card game or is this a dice game?
Oh my god! It would be really cool. Yeah.
I'm really confused.
You listen to while you're playing
Yeah,
your card
it is
game
a
or dice game.
CD. It's their album CD. That's why I said this doesn't have to do with gaming, but I wanted to throw it out there because this is really amazing, and I have no clue who they are. I've never met them. They don't know me, but it's almost like I have this like. Maybe that's the teacher, and you have this sense of like, yeah, you go kids, like sense of pride, like, and so that's really awesome.
Okay. Well, speaking of games, tabletop games, I'm going to segue back into tabletop games. I'm reading our email. I'm so distracted over here, and I noticed that Paul has got us into some game at Dragonflight. Is that true, Paul?
Well, we're talking to Ryan Lopez about maybe getting into playing some Rise of Fenris.
Oh, okay.
I think Joe might like that.
You want to do that? It's on Saturday.
What?
25th.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure I can do that.
Okay.
I'm sure I will be there. Sign me up.
But we're going to try to work that out. We all have stuff going on.
Yes.
Yeah.
We will.
I'm down this Saturday around the table.
Not this Saturday.
No.
It's at Dragonflight.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I haven't
Okay.
finished my sentence, so yeah.
Sorry.
This Saturday at around
Yeah.
at around the table, which would be the 6 days from the 13th of August. they're actually going to have, I don't know if it's him, but they're having one of the creators or playtesters or something at an event this Saturday.
I
because
bet
it's
that's Ryan, because he lives really near there.
I'm assuming it is.
Yeah.
But they're having a release party for Rise of Fenris. I will be there, and I'm already bringing my game and everything, and I already bought my organizer on Broken Token to store the new stuff, and so I will be there all day. So it probably won't go out before that.
Okay.
Anyways, but I'm really excited about that, and it's in my top 3 games for sure.
Well, we have burned up a lot of time here, so usually we got to go into our interview. Well, of course, in podcast land, sometimes time is meaningless.
That's right.
So we don't know what's next after this.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be awesome. We're going to enjoy it. I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah. It'll be about tabletop gaming.
It will be.
Most likely.
Not music.
Yeah.
So, with that,
I am still proud of my decision to talk about that.
it's okay. All right, let's check it out. Hey, geeks. Welcome to our interview portion of the podcast. And you recognize this guy. He's a recurring guy who shows up to Geeks all the time. Just kind of wanders in off the streets.
Yeah, I know. So they'll take anybody.
So, Greg, it's good seeing you. You're going to be back again, right?
Yeah,
Car Wars?
running Car Wars at Dragonflight once again.
And Paul and I are really excited to check out the collision.
Yeah.
And,
The collision.
and the shooting and the bloodletting that will happen.
You forgetting the cars rolling and things.
Oh, yeah, that's
I don't know if any of your kids are playing. I'm sure that'll happen.
My youngest one will be there. I don't know about
Okay.
my oldest boy because I think he's got some National Guard duty or something.
that's too
well.
bad.
Yeah, it's too bad. Oh well.
It's all good. So
what's going on this time around? You've changed it up?
it's going to be very similar to last year's event. I'm still using the 2-floor arena. I'm going to be using that one again.
Cool.
Is that the one where you get a ramp? Is there a ramp?
They had the ramps up to
Okay.
the upper level, and
Right.
then we had people falling off it and landing in various strange positions and roofs and landing onto their cars and other ugliness. Let's see, I added a few new cars this year. A lot of there's a lot of work that goes into these arenas.
Sure.
And I like to use them for a few years, and this will be the 4th outing for this one, and third outing.
Right.
Sorry,
Yeah.
got to count right.
And hopefully we will have this. We gotta have this up this Monday because Dragonflight's gonna
No,
be.
no,
Dragonflight is this weekend.
Well,
Yes,
yes,
it is.
it's
So,
coming right up.
So how can people sign up?
Same
deal. Go
Same
on,
deal.
Dragonflight.
Go to the Dragonflight website. I am going to ask people, don't sign up 2 or 3 times. I've seen people do that. It kind of makes people think it's fuller than it really is, but yeah, that's I haven't figured out a way to make that not happen yet.
Yeah.
So I have some seriously dedicated fans, evidently.
And walk us through how you plan to do these things.
So the tournament itself, or
Yeah,
the,
yeah,
okay.
the tournament.
So I run 4 rounds. Basically, everybody gets the same car. We plunk all 8 players into the arena, and whoever comes out alive, or at least kills the most of the other players, gets a seat at the final. The top 2 actually, and then we have a final round. In that battle, we're gonna have the top 2 finishers for each of the 4 other games, and they get different cars, and that's a much more entertaining spectacle as people have all sorts of crazy stuff on the vehicles there, and lots more crazy stuff happens. And the top finisher there gets a trophy at least. Supposedly I'm getting some support. Might have a few items that I've got stashed from various events that I might hand out as well.
And that all happens on Saturday, is that correct?
All day Saturday.
And it starts at what time?
9. If games start at 9, 11, 2, 4, and 7, and is the final.
Okay. And you'll have already pre-generated.
Yeah, you don't have.
vehicles.
I've had people walk in and the first time they've played in one of these, and they go on to the final and they have a blast. Usually by blasting somebody else, but and we've got people who played the game 20 years ago and people who've never seen it before. So it's a mix.
Now, will you have the opportunity? You've had this last couple times where if you make it to the final, you can actually roll up your own car. Or
Yep, I do allow that. If you do a search for the Car Wars Combat Garage, if people want to make their own designs, it's a fun little thing, by the way. Just even if you're not a serious Car Wars player, you can make it up and design whatever you want.
That sounds fun.
Put the mine droppers on and
Alright.
a turreted laser and see how it turns out.
Do you find there's an edge to anyone that comes in with the pre-generated car? Because
There is a little bit of one.
Okay.
You can design. Different players have different play styles. Some people like to just barrel in and run into things. Others like to stay back and snipe or go for the crazy shots. Others like to dump gunk all over the arena for other people to run over. Having a car that you've built yourself, you generally have something that's fitted more towards your play style.
Yeah.
But then again, there's also players who, let's see what this does. Let's see it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like building your own Magic deck and bring it and play Magic. Very similar. You design your card, bring it into the battlefield, and how does it turn out, and how well does it do?
right.
And there's sometimes there's strategy too, and knowing which players to go after sometimes is another key.
And so, what do you see as maybe last year's champion coming back? You see
So
it?
he's already signed up. He's
All right.
actually actually 2 years running the champion.
What's his
Okay.
name?
Chris Rhodes. So
Chris Rhodes.
Chris Rhodes will be the man to beat, folks. He was victorious the prior 2 years. So
Okay.
and given that there's a Mustang on the top of the trophy, I think he's going to be itching for it because I know he's a
yes.
Mustang fan.
All
So
right.
you will be handing out trophies again.
There's going to be a trophy. There should be. I don't have it with me, and it's not quite fully assembled yet. But it will have a red. I think it's a Mustang anyway. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a Mustang sitting on the top of it, and with the armored, battle vehicle type stuff.
Shot
Cool.
glass again, but for best shot.
Oh yes, I have to give out the best shot award as well. I actually handed out the last of the ones I had at OrcaCon and had to reorder them.
Okay.
So yeah, and they have those on their website if anyone else wants them.
And you were saying last time, or a little earlier, that you're hoping you're getting support.
So normally I would know by now. Usually I'm the one doing this. I'm part of the MIB program for Steve Jackson Games, and usually I'm the one who gets everything together for Dragonflight. Well, the lady who ran the Munchkin tournament last year beat me to the punch and was already getting things set up. So I went, great, I don't have to do it this year. So it's whatever her request came in.
Cool.
So I don't know yet. But worst case, I will hand out a few of the goodies I have stashed away.
Now, this last tournament kind of ended with time because people were just slugging away, and then at some point, some of them couldn't maneuver. It was definitely a slugfest.
It was a
slugfest.
slugfest
It
all
was
the
a
way
very
back.
clear winner at the end. What do you see? Do you see maybe it's because of the design of the tournament? Because versus the ones before, sometimes there was a clear. There seemed to be more chances of a clear
It
winner.
depends a lot on the players and how the game runs. That particular event, if I recall, had about 4 or 5 players run a truce at the beginning of the game of the battle,
Oh.
and then it kind of devolved after that. But initially, it just depends on the game. Sometimes it goes very quickly. Sometimes it drags out, and it depends also on the vehicles, how aggressive players are, and some of the players are getting a little more canny about their play too. They've been at this. We've been doing this oh man, it's at least the 6th year, I
a
think.
couple times.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's more than that. I ran it a few years before I first talked to you.
Yeah.
So some of these people have been playing this half a dozen years. That's not even counting people who played back when it was really popular. But maybe it will be again soon.
Do you have a lot of people that kind of hang back and snipe, and then getting in there, try to get in there a little later?
So one of the things I did with the tournament and how I set it up is because it's time boxed. I only have so much time for each event. I have to lay out a victory condition for if there is no last player, and it is who has the most kills. A kill being you disable the car and they can't shoot anymore or move. And then the tiebreaker, though, is whoever gets the first kill if you have the same number. So it's it behooves you to take other players out quickly,
Okay.
and it gives you an edge. Obviously, having a person who took one out at the beginning is in the lead, but then if someone else takes 2 other players out later, they're now in the lead. And it also kind of tends to make a little bit of a dogpile effect on whoever's in the front. And which is not necessarily a bad thing for the game either. And that's the edition that's currently in print. And we'll see. We might get a taste of the next. I checked with Steve Jackson Games. The 6th edition wasn't quite ready to go out without someone from Steve Jackson Games supervising it. So, But I know they've been showing it off at various places. I know Steve Jackson himself ran a game at one of the conventions.
Wow.
Even so.
Do you think maybe you can get a copy at all for
There's
Dragonflight?
not for Dragonflight. Not for Dragonflight. It's
How
not
about
going to happen.
OrcaCon?
Now, OrcaCon might be a different story, and we got to get with Barry on this one, and,
Okay.
and maybe some of the people running OrcaCon to see what they can get, if they can get some folks from Steve Jackson Games up there for it. Maybe that would be the
That'd be very
ideal.
cool.
You know, and I don't know who I would ask or
I
bug
don't
with
know.
that.
I don't know anybody.
I'll let somebody else push that if you
Yes.
can.
Okay. Well, so what? Again, you don't know what you're going to get if you get anything, but talking to the viewers and the listeners out there, what type of prizes have they had in the past?
It's been anything from, okay, I've got a copy of the arena set, to the grand prize at OrcaCon a few years ago was, the first OrcaCon was pretty spectacular, which was essentially, let's see, you got pretty much one of everything of Car Wars that was in print at the time, which is the Car Wars Classic. They get the arena set, they got the Arenas 2 pack, they had a Ziploc bag with stuff again. There was like 3 or 4 different patches. They had the Car Wars card game, and then there was a T-shirt in there as well. So for it, so it was, you know, I don't expect that, but it was incredibly generous of them for that one, and I can cross my fingers and hope for it. But
well,
you know,
so far they've been pretty good.
they've been very supportive.
A lot
I
of
have
times
to
it's
say.
like last minute. Seems like they come.
That seems to be kind of how the support system there works.
Hey, as
yes.
long as you get it right, as long as you
right.
get it.
That's right. I'm usually pretty good at following up, which reminds me I need to go ping that our other MIB, who's going to be running the Munchkin tournament at Dragonflight, by the way, but it's shameless plug, for other stuff.
Okay, no, that's okay.
And
You should get them on air.
I could probably get you the contact info if you'd like.
Okay. Well, we'd be kind of interested in that. So, anything else that you can let the listeners and viewers know?
So, you know, it's first off, I have to say the Geeks of Cascadia need to come out and do a podcast from a game with them playing.
Oh, you want us to be in an actual game?
You need to be an actual
See,
game.
but it throws me off my rhythm. Everyone loves. In fact, it was some of the most views we get.
Oh yeah.
Or listens, I should say, is the play-by-play, or I call it death by death.
You know, you might have to do you'll have to play in one of the events though. You really need to. I mean, just think of the ability to take Paul out or one of the other players.
I don't know. As a journalist, though,
Yeah.
or a fake journalist.
I think it was embedded reporting, yeah.
Embedded reporter. Okay.
With recoilless rifles, yes.
There you go. Sounds fun. So, does Paul? Do you have any questions?
No, I'm just looking forward to
anything,
Dragonflight.
Paul?
I'm super excited for Saturday.
I know.
Come out and
Well,
play.
Friday.
Friday I won't make it.
You notice
Oh,
that? Did you
bummer.
did you notice they had games starting? It looked like at 9 on Friday.
No.
Yeah,
Really?
It's an
for
early
3 full
Friday.
days.
It's the full
Oh,
day.
wow.
Yeah.
That means I gotta get there earlier.
Yeah.
On Thursday.
Yeah.
Oh boy. All right. Well. All right.
It's
Well.
a good thing someone checks the calendar.
Right.
Well, hey folks, hope to see you there. Greg will be there. Sign up for the Car Wars tournament. Go to dragonflight.org, I believe, right?
It's drivefight.org and
sign up for the Car Wars tournament. And just say hi to me too and Paul.
Yeah.
you know,
And maybe Joe.
Maybe Joe.
yeah, so
Yeah.
for me, my last words of wisdom for those Car Wars players: watch your handling and drive offensively.
All right. See you there.
Thanks.
That was a spectacular interview. He, her, they did a great job
Yes.
talking.
Mhm.
I
They did
enjoyed
They did an
the
awesome job.
I enjoyed the interviewing. I enjoyed the speaking
And
of the
you had
words.
some really great questions, Joe.
Oh yeah, it was
That
like
really insightful.
it was like, hey, like tell me about, you know, I don't want to go into it. I want to reserve our
Sure.
time
Yeah,
here.
right.
But yeah,
Of course.
it was.
The
it was
part
pretty-
where Steve wept. Oh my god.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
my god. I almost wept too.
Yeah.
Felt it right here.
Yeah.
Right here.
It was-
But we got more stuff going on in the show. We got a game review.
Game review, that's right. Kelly and Doug from Geeks Tabletop Game Review
Yes.
segment, which I remembered what it's called this time.
You
First time
did.
ever.
5 points
They're
for
gonna-
you.
They're going to talk about Heaven and Ale.
Mhm.
That is designed by Michael Kiesling and Andrea Schmidt, and the artist is Christian Fiore. The publisher is Egert Spiel. It's one of those ones from Europe that Doug likes so much.
Sure, me.
And
Yes.
so it looks really cool. So should we just go into that?
We should. Let's just do it.
All right, awesome.
All right.
Let's go.
Hey geeks, welcome to another Geeks Tabletop Game Review. I'm Kelly, and as always, this is Doug, and today we're doing Heaven and Ale.
Yeah, Heaven and Ale. This one is, I guess, part two of our spiel.
Oh yeah, the spiels.
Yeah,
That's why
the
we're
spiel.
doing this game.
That is why we're doing this game. Part of the reason why we're doing this game.
So this game just got nominated for one of the Spiel des Jahres over in Germany. It's one of the more prestigious awards. And so yeah, this is part two.
The Kennerspiel, which is the kind of strategy game of the year rather
Not
than...
the Kinderspiel.
The Kinderspiel is the kids' game.
Yes.
The Kennerspiel
It's the thinking games.
the thinking games, one of the more kind of in-depth ones. So this one was designed by Andreas Schmidt and Michael Kiesling. Michael Kiesling, you may remember him from our Azul review,
Okay.
because he also worked on that one as well.
I remember these guys.
Yeah. And Michael Kiesling also did Tikal, which was another Spiel winner, I believe. If not, it was a nomination as well. And it's got artwork from Christian Fiore. He's done quite a bit of work over in Germany on some of those games over there.
Names I don't know the title of because
Yeah,
they're in
pretty
German.
much. Yeah, all of those kinds of games.
Not that they're bad games. I just don't know what they were.
Yeah, but I mean the artwork is great on this. I really like it. It kind of matches the theme. So it's got that working for it. And this one was published by Eggert Spiel. They do a lot of those games in Germany. I think My Village was Village was Eggert Spiel, and then that got brought in to the U.S. by Tasty Minstrel.
So this game is playable by 2 to 4 players, and it actually plays just as well in 2 players as it does in 4 players. They do scale it appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
They recommend ages 14 and up, and it takes about an hour to play, give or take player count. And it's about $70.
Which I think is about right. You got all the different cardboard pieces.
Yeah, we only
and
have half the stuff out
wood
here.
pieces, yeah. And the really nice player boards. And the thick cardstock
Oh my god,
on the
they're
money
thick cardstock.
and the privilege counters. Just so they last.
Yeah.
So in Heaven and Ale, you work in a monastery to basically make the best ale to provide for the people.
Okay.
So over the several rounds that you play the game, you will use your worker meeple on the main board to gather resources that you can put on your player board to either harvest them for the goods that they create or harvest them to sell for money. Also hiring, or not really hiring, but using the monks to basically help you tend your fields out on the board, on your player board.
Yeah.
And you gotta kind of work to balance the amount of ingredients that you collect and gather, because at the end of the game, your lowest ingredient that you have collected will basically tell you how much beer that you make. So we've got it set up for a 2-player game, so we will be right back to show you kind of how we set it up and how to play the game.
All right, so here we have your player board. We've given everybody $25 because I can math. We have our privilege cards, which are front and back spaced. We've put our brewer down here at the bottom, and then wheat, water, hops, yeast,
Yeah, it's yeast.
Yeast, okay. And then wood here on our track. So as we move up and as we gain things, we'll eventually start making barrels. So we want, at the end of the game, at least all of our things to be up here at once so we can make a barrel of beer. If
Otherwise,
not,
yeah, it's worth no points.
more. So the more ingredients you can gather, of course, the more beer you can make. So we're going to put these back where they found them. On the color mats.
Now we've also got the different sides of your player board. We've got the light side and the dark side. And basically those sides are differentiated by how much you have to pay to put a resource or monk on that side, and whether that resource or whether the resource will gain you money or will gain you those ingredients.
Yeah, so we have our shady side, which gains us money. So when you harvest from your goods over here, and we'll explain how you harvest in a minute, you'll get money equal to the value of that resource. Which pretty much you're selling it at market to pay for other things. However, to put it on your sunny side, it costs double the value, and when you harvest, you'll move up that space in that resource.
Now we also have the scoring track along the right side.
These?
Yep, those are the scoring spaces.
I wouldn't have called them scoring spaces.
During the game, you can collect scoring tiles over here on the main board to place on those spaces to basically score those goods or score for those monks, and we'll get into those details as we play the game.
Yeah.
So that's the player board. Over here on the main board, we have it set up. We have populated all of the spaces around the board with the resources. We've got stacks of monks here that will deal out onto the board, and the different scoring spaces. We've got those filled in. There's also these barrels here that are kind of extra objectives that you can complete over the course of the game.
Free victory points.
Basically free victory points, yes.
However, they can only be collected at certain spots, and you have to stop and collect them.
Mm-hmm. Now, for a 2-player game, we would have set up 3 stacks of 4 monks in each of these spaces, and we use the ones first because that's how they have it, and we'll randomly shuffle them, deal them out, and then for the first round, we'll take the 4 off and we'll deal them in order around on the monk spaces.
And then we do the same with the resource tiles. I'm going to take these and add these to the pile. And we've populated the board with those resource tiles. There is more of these if necessary, but they've done the math so you have a secondary pile for when these run out. Or in a 4 or 5 player, in a 3 or 4 player game, you will definitely run out of these first session tiles.
Mm-hmm. So they're numbered 1 through 5, also kind of based on their cost. That's what their cost will be. But there's also kind of objectives that you can complete to gain 6 1s or 6 5s. So to set up for first player, we'll randomly decide who goes first.
Do we get a victory point for going first?
You get to go first. Nope, that's only at the end of the game. So you get to go first. Now me as the second player after Kelly, I get to choose one of these spaces over here to gain a bonus. And this is a bonus for the first round and each at the end of each other round. So I'm just going to take a Brewmaster movement on my player board.
Okay. So now when I move my guy forward, I can move him anywhere I want on the board, so long as I'm always moving forward. So anything I pass up, I can't go back to again. So depending on how aggressive I want to start out and place these guys, these are all pretty heavy costing. I probably don't want to put them on my sunny side. I probably want to put them on my shady side.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just going to take this one.
So Kelly went to this resource space. Whenever you land on a space, you have to at least buy one of the tiles that's there, take the scoring tile that's there, or claim any number of barrels. You can't go on a space that you can't do an action for. So you can't go into empty spaces, except for the barrel spaces because they'll always be empty. But you can go onto a space because as the game progresses, there could be multiple resource tiles on the same space, and I could say go here in future round, and I can buy both of these.
Or one of them.
Or just one of them, but depending on how much money I have. You always have to do at least one, but you can buy multiples.
Yeah.
So monks, just like resources, have a cost on the space, and they go out onto your player board. We'll kind of show that over here. So you can put it out here on your player board. And then there's the barrel spaces that you can land on. The barrels, you basically gain all of the ones that you have completed, and you can't take duplicates. So you can't take the large one and the small one that you'll see is underneath it.
Also, you can't just go there to stall if you haven't yet achieved any of them.
Yeah, like I said, it's you have to do something while you're there. Now, as the game progresses, you'll want to pick up these scoring tiles and place them on your player board. Whenever you do that, depending on the space along the scoring side, you will gain either money or ingredients based on which one you activate. Now, activating resources, like if Kelly activates her water, she will currently on her board get 4 money.
And that's it.
That's it. But the thing is, it counts all of the water on your board. So if you had 4 or 5 different waters out on your board, they would all activate. Same thing with all the other resources.
And I would get whatever side they're on. So I would get 1 water to move and then 7 water. Or 6 money. I can math.
Now there's this little X space there above at the top. When you activate that one, you basically choose a number and activate all tiles of that number, which can be pretty good if you've got 6 5s out on your board and you wait until the end to activate that. So that's
However,
pretty useful.
Once you've activated these, they can never be activated again. So if I choose my water now, I will never be able to harvest my water again from this. I can harvest once I complete my circles. Sheds. Once I complete a shed, I can harvest my water again that way. However, on a mass scale, I can't do this again. So it's usually best to wait, but you will run out of money at some point, and you're going to have to do them.
Yeah. Now we get to the monks, and the monks are a little bit tricky. When those activate, you activate all of that type of monk, and that monk basically activates all of the spaces around it. Hey everyone, it's Doug here. So it was pointed out to us after we did our recording that we got one of the rules wrong regarding the monks. Whenever you activate a monk tile with the scoring disc, you trigger each hex around it, including other monks. Whenever you trigger a monk, it causes the brewmaster to move forward 1 space. It does not cause it to trigger the hexes around it. We did say that the sheds, when you place them to trigger a monk, causes the monk to activate all of the hexes around it. That is not the case. Whenever a shed triggers a monk, it moves the brewmaster forward, including other monks, and that's a little bit of a tricky thing. So if Kelly went ahead and scored the white monk there, or the yellow monk there, she basically activates all of the spaces around that one.
So I would get 4 money.
You would get 4 money, you would get 3 yeast, 5 barley, and then you activate that monk.
So rather than triggering him again and getting everything that would be around him, I get to move my brewer instead.
Yeah, any monk that triggers another monk causes your brewer to move up 1 space. Now as we start filling in our board, we'll start to complete, we'll start to enclose these shed spaces on our board that can give us extra activations of the resources around it. So
absolutely was not mathing.
Kelly completed that shed around that space. She will total the value of all of the resources around it. So she's got
10.
a 10 up here on the top of the board. She will see which shed she gets to put around there, and then she gets to activate from that one 1 space around that shed.
So I'd probably activate this monk again, but I could activate this 3 wood or this monk if I decided that this monk had better things, and I really didn't need whatever he had and I wanted the wood instead of the yeast. So the way these works is if my total amount, like say that this was here instead, we have less than, we still have 8.
You still had 8. But you got the different sheds that you can have, and they'll activate a different number of spaces around it, possibly give you movement on your brewmaster around the board, and all that stuff. It's just ways to get extra activations of those tiles.
Pretty much the lower the number, the more you move your brewmaster, but you don't get to activate as many of your spaces. The higher the number, the more spaces you get to activate, and the less you get to move your brewmaster. Arguably, he has to spend more time building a shed than he does perfecting his craft.
Mm-hmm. So as we start to get towards the end of the board, the first player that ends on the end of the round space, end of the round space, will choose one of these spaces to end on and gain that bonus. First player, not really a bonus, you just get to go first. But then you can optionally choose to move your brewmaster up 1, choose any resource to move up 2, or gain 2 money. Now, if I'm the last player to end up over here and this first player's space is still empty, I have to take it. So I have to go there. Now, we keep it playing based on the number of rounds for the number of players. 2 players, it's 3 rounds. 3 players, it's 4 rounds. And 4 players, it's all 6 rounds. And basically at the end of the game, we will do final scoring. That is done based on where all of our ingredients are on here. We'll say we got fairly lucky and got up that far on all the ingredients. Let's go there. And our brewmaster just ended up right here and this zone. So this zone, you have a 3-to-1 trade chance to trade some resources for others. So to do that, I can trade 1, 2, and 3 resources to bump this one up. And at that point, there's no more beneficial way to bump up these last 2 resources. Then, once we've done that exchange, we will change all of our money, and for more resources, every 10 money that you have is worth an ingredient increase. And then, based on your lowest value ingredient, you will take that number of ales that you make and multiply it times the value of that ale, and that's your end victory points.
And this all depends on where your brewmaster is, not where your ingredients are. So if your brewmaster is still down here, you're trading at a 5-to-1 ratio, and even if you have a bunch of ingredients up here and one down here, it kind of sucks, and your barrels are only twice as good as they should be, as opposed to 3 or 4 times as good as they should be.
Mm-hmm. Now, we didn't get into it, but we have these privilege cards that we have.
Which could be sold at any point during the game for 3 monies. However, the rewards they offer are much, much better than the 3 monies.
Mm-hmm. And you'll gain these by completing sets of scoring tiles along the side.
These are paired.
They're in sets of 2s. So whenever you complete one of those sets after you finish that scoring action, you'll choose one of your privileged cards to play over there and gain its benefit immediately. Now there's straight money that you can get. There's brewmaster movement that you can have. This one is for every scoring tile that you have, you move your lowest ingredient to 1 space, which is pretty handy.
We have this one which says you pick a resource that you have, and for each one of those that you have, that resource moves 1. So if I choose wood right now, I would get to move my woods 3 spaces.
And then the last one is all of your barrels are worth an extra point.
All of these barrels.
Large ones are worth 4, small ones are worth 2. After all is said and done, you total up the ale that you've made plus all the barrels that you have, and whoever has the highest value or highest points wins. First player, also the player that ends on first for the last round, gets an extra point. And
for tiebreakers.
Tiebreakers, yeah, that's kind of like a first tiebreaker a little bit. But if there are people tied, then they share the victory. Because they both made the best ale.
Yep.
So that's basically how you play the game. We will come back with our pros and cons and talk about what we think about the game.
Yeah.
Alright, so what do you think of Heaven and Ale?
I like it. It's interestingly intertwined and complicated without actually being complicated at all.
Mm-hmm.
And that made no sense at all.
Pretty much. I do like the movement around the player board, where it's not like patchwork, where whoever's behind the most gets to go next. No, it's still we're going around the table, and then whoever's turn it is, they get to move. So if I decide to jump all the way over here,
And race around the board and all that fun stuff.
Everyone else is dealing with this stuff, I have my choice of what's over here on this half of the board, which is can be beneficial to me if I don't want any of this stuff and all of that stuff that I want.
You can kind of try and force the end of the game, but on the other hand, the players can, well, okay, fine. If you're going to sit all the way over there, I'm going to take my time over here and choose whether or not I want all of these things.
Yeah, and while you're doing that, I have my choice of what's over there. So it's got its pros and cons for that way.
In a 2-player game.
In a 2-player
game.
game.
In a 4-player game, you can't do that.
I don't think I would make my jump that far, yeah.
You have to have 3 or 4 options open in case anybody takes any of yours.
Pretty much, yeah.
Because that's where the 4th player is going to end up over.
Mm-hmm.
Even if he doesn't want to.
Yeah. I don't think the theme comes through that well in it a little bit. Yes, we're collecting these resources, and yes, I guess you said we need a certain amount of wheat per barrel that we're going to make. But it doesn't really come through that great for me, is what I've noticed as I flick that away. But I still like the game. I like the way that it plays. I like the artwork.
Yeah.
You were saying there's a way to fall behind a little bit.
It's not fall behind, it's kind of like lose yourself.
Get get off track a little bit.
Definitely off track. Like you get too much of one resource, or you run out of money, or somebody shuts you out of hops. In this particular board that we had set up here, there's only 2 spaces with hops, and they're both very low.
Oh, there was one over here.
Oh, did you take it?
I took it off, yeah, as we were kind of explaining the end of the round stuff.
It still is a...
Yeah, it's still...
In a 2-player game, you can hopefully get at least one of those hops on the first round, but you have to come up with another way to get hops at that point.
Mm-hmm.
It's also very easy to spend your money and then not get any more back.
Yeah.
If we look over on the player board, my favorite strategy, and a lot of people forget to do it, is you put a monk or anything like that. You have to place on both sides. You can't place it all over here and be like, I'm going to get a bunch of stuff, because then you don't get any money and you run out very quickly. Usually when I'm completing the paddocks, I try and complete on both sides first in the center before doing anything else, because then when I trigger a monk, I can trigger on both sides. So I get resources and money every time I trigger a monk.
Same thing with, like some of the sheds. I know the 2 shed that you get opposite sides.
Yeah.
If you line up to hit a monk on one of the sides,
like these 2.
it is very beneficial, yeah.
And it's that kind of balance that you just have to remember. And at some point, you're not going to have a center anymore, so what do you do?
Mm-hmm. I think it's kind of very important to start with, like you were saying, some money generation that you can deal with a little bit early on in case you do spend all of it through on the first couple turns.
I think, like, one of the strategies that Topher does, and it kind of works. I'm not saying Topher's a bad player. It's just the first thing that he did was he took all of very large numbers and put them in the shade. And then he ended up with small numbers in the sun. And what that did is it just really hurt his resources. He had tons of money. He could buy whatever he wanted. But by the end of the game, he only had, I think, he still had 2 below the line.
Mm-hmm.
Because he could only harvest so many times over here.
And that's one of the things to look at.
It's very easy to accidentally start doing because it's cheaper to put the smaller resources down there.
The two privilege cards that give you resources, those I kind of save towards the end to complete because moving 5 on your Brewmaster is really nice early on that you don't have to worry about it later. Yeah. Or money, those are early ones. But these ones I want to save for later in the game when I have multiple tiles of a resource that I can gain the most out from either of those cards.
On the other hand, they're the first ones I sell if I know I'm going to have money issues.
You could do that. You could go for the money privilege or dealing with that, trying to...
We were doing a 4-player game and I couldn't pick up a purple dot to save my life because everybody ahead of me was picking them up. And I ended the game with like 2 purple dots.
Man, that is... crazy. Yeah.
So I wasn't going to get any of them anyway.
Mm-hmm. So I guess that's some of the ways that you can fall behind is not noticing that everyone else is picking up the scoring discs, and you kind of have to force yourself to try and get one to basically gain the resources from it. I like the balance of it.
Oh, it's absolutely wonderfully balanced.
Mm-hmm. With the 3 rounds for 2 players. Yes, you'll most likely focus on making your beer rather than going for these barrel points.
But don't forget to pick them up because the first player to pick them up gets them, not the first player to achieve them.
Yeah, and you get all of the ones that you achieve when you land there. When you land on one of the barrel spaces, you get all of the ones that you achieve. So if it's towards the end of the game and you can see that, oh, if I do some work over here with these resources and end up on the barrel space over on this side, that you can get 2 or 3 different barrels, and those will be just worth so many extra points that it doesn't matter that you only make like 5 barrels of beer.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So that's your favorite thing about this game?
My favorite thing is the player turns.
Player turns?
Yeah. And the artwork. Those are kind of tied. I do like, you pointed it out, we'll
I didn't notice it until this morning.
The artwork on the back is really nice.
It's that stained glass feel.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. So that was part 2 of our Spiel des Jahres reviews.
What's the next one?
The next one's
Spiel des Jahres.
it's either the Mind or it's Luxor. I did do the Luxor secondary Kickstarter.
Okay.
That they did that. And they did that after they got the nomination because
They got the nomination.
they got the nomination, and rather than doing late pledges for the original Kickstarter, they just made this really short term. I think it was like 2 weeks Kickstarter, and they still got another few $100,000 for it. So, but there's a bunch of expansions coming with it. We got Pioneers coming with it, which was another one done by that studio, that publisher. So we'll probably do that review as well, because that one got a recommendation for the Spiel. So we'll probably do that.
We do have a few other things coming up for you, but this is part 2 of the Spiel des Jahres. See you next time, geeks.
Another great game review from Kelly and Doug.
That's
Heaven
really
and Ale sounds fun.
Like the ale part.
The ale part is great.
Very good.
Heaven is possible, maybe, for me. I don't know.
Drinking of ale.
I do like ale.
Dale sounds cool, not as cool as Evan, but Dale sounds awesome.
And they were just really informative, and they always make me want to play games whenever
Yeah.
we watch their reviews.
Great reviews. In fact, without them, we almost have no content sometimes. So thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, Kelly and Doug, for keeping us afloat.
And if you would like us to do a game review, or if you have any questions of us, email us at geeksofcascadia@gmail.com, or Twitter, or Facebook us. And I think we want them to review us, right?
Yes, if you could review us on iTunes with 5 stars, and say something nice would be nice. Say something not nice is also nice, but 5 stars is really nice.
Or YouTube subscribe us.
Or give us a thumbs up if you like this video.
Yes, that'd be
super
nice.
nice. Maybe subscribe. And
Somebody,
maybe
please.
give us a review on Facebook. That would be cool
desperate.
too.
Yes.
We do have a new YouTube subscriber I noticed today.
We do.
Phil Dragar.
Oh,
All right.
Yes.
I was thinking his name would be Steve Hobbs.
No, it wasn't.
Oh.
I've been waiting for this one especially.
All right.
Nice.
All right, Phil.
Phil, you're our favorite.
Okay, we love you.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have anything else?
I don't think so. Get your hotel room for OrcaCon.
Yeah.
And badges aren't going to get any cheaper.
And look for us at Dragonflight.
Look for us at Dragonflight.
We will be there.
Look for us at PAX.
Yes, we'll be at PAX as well. So I think that's it, guys.
I think so.
Yeah.
So I'll just sign off by saying, embrace the nerd, and I hope you make that saving throw. Hey, nerds! It's Geeks of Cascadia. Geeks of Cascadia. Geeks of Cascadia. Exclusive tabletop game podcast for the Pacific Northwest. All levels of gamers. Analog gaming. Tabletop news. Dungeons and Dragons and magic. Stupid, mindless banter.
There will definitely be some. That's probably our best.
Lot of
That's
stupid
our best feature.
You are listening to the Geeks of Cascadia podcast, featuring Steve Hobbs, Paul Anderson, and Joe Costa.